Welcome to Washington Hospital Today, dedicated to informing residents about healthcare topics and issues. Through programs featuring community forums and free health and wellness classes, our goal is to empower community members with the information needed to make informed health decisions. Washington Hospital has been providing health care to the residents of the Washington Township Healthcare District for the past 60 years. Hello, welcome to today's presentation, Veggies on the Grill. Make room for summer produce, presented by Anna Mazzei, registered dietitian with Washington Hospital Healthcare System. Anna Mazzei has been with Washington Hospital for 35 years. She is also a diabetes educator with the Diabetes Matters program. Please welcome Anna Mazzei.
Welcome to Getting Your Fill of the Grill with Veggies. When we hear the word grill, it conjures up images of barbecuing hamburgers and hot dogs and steaks outside during the summertime. You can smell the smoke, you can smell the char of the meat, you can hear the sizzling. Now really, if you live in a place that has moderate temperatures like California, you can grill all year long. But what you can't get is the abundant variety of seasonal vegetables and fruits. Now, when you grill vegetables, what happens is that their delicate flavors are brought to the surface, and the caramelization of the naturally occurring sugars is a perfect marriage. For people who don't like vegetables, this is a perfect invitation to start liking vegetables, okay? Now, we can't go on without bragging a little bit about the benefits of fruits and vegetables. Now, somebody might say, I'm nagging about the benefits of fruits and vegetables, but somebody's got to tell you. So number one, the way that they're going to help out is with weight management. And how do they help with weight management? Is that they're fat-free, so they're going to be low-calorie. Because of their high fiber and water content, they're going to keep you full for a longer period of time after a meal. When we try to achieve a healthy body weight, we're going to lower our risk of diabetes, certain types of cancer, joint problems, sleep apnea, stroke, and cardiac conditions. Okay? So how are they cardioprotective, more specifically? They're low to no sodium in vegetables and fruits, and they're also high potassium. That's a perfect combination to reduce blood pressure. Additionally, they have no fat, so they have no saturated fat, which is the type of fat that increases blood cholesterol. It's the type of fat that people usually are grilling when they grill ribeye or high-fat hamburger. Vegetables and fruits have no cholesterol because they're not animal products. So in those ways, they're going to help lower the cholesterol. Another way they're going to help lower cholesterol is that they contain soluble fiber, which helps to lower cholesterol. It's a type of fiber that you see in oatmeal and in barley. It's a gummy type of fiber. But overall, they're also high in dietary fiber, which helps with proper digestion and elimination. Now, they're high in specific nutrients. So you can see here, vitamin A. Vitamin plays a huge role in skin health. And of course, vitamin C also plays a role in skin health. But both of them help with supporting your immune system. Also high in folic acid, because that is a key ingredient to reduce the risk of birth defects. And magnesium works along with calcium for healthy bones. And magnesium has many more functions in the body in addition to that. And we can't forget what's working in the background with this produce is the phytochemicals. And phyto means plant, and it also means fighting for you and reducing your risk of diseases. They support your immune system. They act as antioxidants, reducing the number of harmful chemical reactions that are going on in the body that can disrupt or damage your cells and DNA. And they also can act as anti-inflammatory agents. Okay? So let's move on to talking about grilling. When you set up your grill, whether it be with charcoal or with propane tanks, you want to have one side of the grill hot. That's called the direct heat for foods that are going to cook like in 25 minutes. And then you want a side that's the indirect heat. So when something looks like it's done or you're getting enough sear on it, you move it, there's carryover cooking, and then you put it in the indirect area so that it can keep warm or continue cooking at a slower rate. So these are the descriptions of different temperatures. High meaning 450 to 650. But the medium high is where you want to cook the vegetables, 375 to 450. All right, and most of the time you want to cook with it uncovered but you could use a combination of keeping the lid down and going back and checking. So it could be a combination of that, but you should really keep an eye on it because it can easily burn because vegetables and fruits are very delicate. So here we talk about estimated cooking times. I think that this is just an idea of how long it would take to cook, for example, the summer squash or zucchini, 7 to 8 minutes. And during half that time, you want to turn it over to get the other side with a sear, okay? All right, so let's come back to our last slide later on. But let me show you this beautiful variety of vegetables that are grilled here. And we have some of the popular ones during the summer. You've got bell pepper, you've got zucchini, you've got eggplant, and tomatoes. All right? I want to first talk a little bit more about the different ways to put your vegetables on the grill. All right? You can put them directly, cut them up and put them directly on the grill. So, for example, we're going to look at cutting up this, hold on a second, excuse me. You want to keep them a little thick, maybe like a 1/4 inch if you're going to do the zucchini. You could also do it in coins. All right? But you don't want it to get too limp. Zucchini especially, it has a high water content. All right, so we're going to have something like that, cutting these. And those could go easily on a grill. They're not going to fall through the grates. Okay? But if you do something smaller pieces, like for example, if we take this, taking the seeds out and all the membrane of the bell pepper, all right. So cutting up like this and something like that, that might fall through the grate if they're small pieces like this. Okay. So some bigger pieces can go directly on, but what you can do is put them on a grilling tray. There's also grilling baskets, but I feel like this is going to give me more char. So just putting these little pieces on like that, I'm not going to worry about falling through the grates. But again, you're going to have to keep an eye on them because they're very tender. All right? And again, these could go directly on the grill. Something big like this too. All right? Now let's talk a little bit about doing a kebab. I mean, you could put the tomatoes directly on the wooden skewer. You want to soak the wooden skewer for about 30 minutes. Of course, you can use metal skewers also. So anyway, you can put tomatoes on there and they're going to just pop and all that natural sugar is going to get caramelized. You can also do something like this with asparagus. We call that making a raft. So you could put them on the skewer like this. Okay. And if you are somebody who might walk away from the grill and you're worried about burning them, you can get the grill basket or something like this, make your own, and put the vegetables in here and put them in the indirect heat so that they are less likely to burn, but you're not going to get that sear, okay? So again, you can put them directly on the grate, use a grilling tray or a grill basket, or make your own at home, or you could do a kebab, as we showed here, okay? So let me mention something about mushrooms, okay? If you're going to use mushrooms in a salad, all you have to do, or use them raw, is wipe them off with a wet rag, and then you could cut them up and put them in the salad. You don't want to wash them after they've been cut up because they're going to absorb too much water and they could discolor and go bad quickly. So you don't want to really soak them in water if you're going to use them in something like a salad. Okay, so if you do have to make a lot of mushrooms, what you want to do is you can put them in a salad spinner like this. You can even brush off the mushrooms with a little toothbrush, all right? Providing it's a new toothbrush, okay? So you could put the mushrooms in a salad spinner and get the hose from the sink and just wash them like this, and then just let them spin out and make sure that they're dry, and then you can grill with those. But as I mentioned, what you don't want to do is let them soak up too much water because then you're going to get it's going to take a while for them to cook. They're going to steam more than they are going to grill. All right? So the next vegetable that people see during the summertime are eggplants. So the typical eggplant, you have a large purple eggplant that's called the globe. A little smaller one is the Italian. And then you have the Japanese and Chinese eggplant. So a few of the things about eggplant is that if you look at different recipes, they're going to ask you to sweat the eggplant. And that's something that people have done for years because eggplant can be bitter. And the way that they've been, producing them is that they've bred them out. The bitterness has been bred out over the years. But some people might be sensitive and still taste that. But another reason why you want to sweat them out is to remove the moisture so that you get that creaminess, that creamy texture. And then you can also keep the skin on to contain the integrity of the grilled eggplant, okay? So this is what I mean by sweating, is we're going to cut this on a diagonal. You can also make a brine where you mix salt with a lot of water, and they can sit there for like 30 minutes because when you do the sweating, you're going to salt it or put it in a salt solution, and you're going to put something heavy on it, especially if it's in the water. And what's going to happen is it's going to draw out the moisture. And then you get that creamy product when you grill. Okay? So take a few of these. And if we leave these like this, what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll see some of that moisture coming out by the end of our talk. Okay? So eggplant can be used as in a sandwich once it's grilled, along with the portobello mushroom and some bell pepper. For people who are vegetarians or following a vegan diet, it can be used in stews. Some people will take the skin off if it's like in a stew, but if you barbecue it, I think you should keep it on because it gets sort of crispy, and as I mentioned, it keeps the soft flesh intact. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this, put that in there. Now, I think that once you put the salt on here and you leave it there for 30 minutes, you want to kind of wash it off, and then dab it to remove some of the salt, okay? And it doesn't taste as salty, I think, when it's in the brine, when it's in the salt solution, okay? So here we go. We're going to put some of that on there. It's hard to know how much salt is actually being absorbed from it, okay? But you won't need to salt it after, all right? So we're going to let this stick like that. You could kind of even see some of the moisture coming out right now. The salt is drawing it out, okay? So once that's done, this was a globe eggplant that I used here. So once that's done with the salting and drying of the eggplant, you just want to brush it with some olive oil. In addition to making the flesh soft, you also can reduce the amount of oil that it absorbs, okay? When you draw out that moisture and then you brush it with the olive oil, it doesn't absorb, or any oil, it doesn't absorb as much of the fat, okay? It just helps for it not to stick to the grill, all right? So this is the Japanese eggplant. This was a globe eggplant. It really shrinks down, but again, that middle is nice and silky and velvety, okay? So something that people don't realize that you can grill are leafy vegetables like bok choy, cabbage. With cabbage, you might actually have to marinate it a little before you put it on the grill because it's so dense. There's other things like iceberg lettuce and romaine, okay? So let's take a look at some hearts of romaine here. Okay, now you want to wash them, but you definitely want to have them dry when you grill because you don't want them to steam. You just want to get that singe on them, and then you want to have the middle of it still kind of crispy and cold. All right, so we're going to cut it right down the middle. Beautiful hearts right there. And then we're going to brush it with a little olive oil. Okay. Not too much because we might add a little bit later too. Okay. And you want to make sure that grill is really hot. It's getting there. Okay. Anyway, once this is singed, what we're going to do is just display it like this. And then we're going to top it off with a little bit more olive oil and balsamic vinegar, some cracked pepper, some Parmesan cheese, and croutons. So you're getting kind of a Caesar salad effect. And of course, you can chop it up and put it into a bowl and make it like a tossed salad, okay? Let's see how that's going. All right. We want to hear the sear. We got to hear the sear. I don't hear the sear yet, but it's going to come, okay? All right. So let that get hot right there, and I'll move on to talk a little bit more about another popular vegetable during the summertime is, of course, sweet corn. All right? So we're going to wait for our romaine lettuce to take off. With corn, it's so simple, right? You don't even have to brush any oil on it. You could just put it directly on the grill at high heat. Just keep turning it, and it gets very caramelized and chewy, okay? You may not like it like that. So you can grill it right in the husk. It's going to get more steamed, and it won't get as caramelized, but it'll be definitely moist and a different kind of texture. So the way to do that, and it looks kind of fun when you serve it to people, that it has that grilled effect. So you want to remove the outer leaves. Okay. Then you just want to pull some of the leaf back to remove the silk that's underneath here. Okay, it's coming, it's coming. We're going to get to the silk. All right, here it comes. So you want to take all of that off. I'm starting to hear the sizzling of our romaine, okay? I think it's more like hair than silk, but that's what they call it, okay? So then you're going to take the husk and put it back on, and then you're going to soak it in water for 30 minutes so that these don't actually catch on fire. So then you get some kind of this kind of effect, okay? And you can eat it just like that, but of course you can brush it with olive oil or some other kind of sauce. You can sprinkle on some cojito cheese and lime and cilantro. So that's kind of the Mexican way of preparing the corn. But I can hear this starting to sear a little bit. Okay, we have to be patient with our, you might be hearing that now. Okay, so while that's continuing to cook, I'm going to move on to talk about winter vegetables because we have an abundance during the summertime, but what about winter? Let's not ignore those. So one of the ones that comes out in the fall is cauliflower. Now cauliflower has reached royalty status in the marketplace, being like you've got cauliflower rice, cauliflower pizza. I've seen cauliflower crackers. I don't know how they do it, but they did it. So what they're starting to serve in restaurants is our cauliflower steaks. So what they do is they remove all of the outside. You're going to lose some of the flowerets when you try to get that shape that you want for a steak, okay? And I think that this is something that's going to take it's a dense vegetable, so it's going to take a while to cook these. So you could get a sear on each side and then move it over to the indirect part of the grill. All right. So you got to have a sharp knife, that's for sure. So we call this a cruciferous vegetable, like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage. And again, they have some powerful phytochemicals in that to fight off cancer. Okay, so you usually can get 3 to 4 steaks out of a head of cauliflower, depending how big it is. So we're going to cut off. And so you're going to have some of these flowerets left over. So what you could do is save some of these and put them in your grilling tray. Okay. So we're going to do this one too on this side. All right, so I'm going to cut it right down the middle first. I hear my romaine talking to me, so I'm going to have to take a look at it. Okay. So we're going to actually turn it over. So you're starting to see some of that char. We're even going to turn it on the other side now. Okay. That puppy's getting grill marks on it. Okay. There we go. All right. So, yeah, so this temperature is about 425 right now. All right. So you want to cut these steaks probably 3/4 of an inch thick. And try not to cut yourself. Okay. So then you're going to, let me move this over here and some of my other pieces. Back over here. And then maybe cutting out some of this tough part of the cauliflower. Okay, so that's going to hold up on the grill. Okay, it's a nice piece of cauliflower steak. So this recipe here has quite a bit of spices. So we've got chipotle chili, which has that smokiness. We've got regular chili, cumin, lime, and some olive oil. So it's a kind of a thick paste, all right? Let me check the back end of this now, all right? It's getting there, it's getting there. Okay, so then you want to just really put that thick paste on the cauliflower, like that. All right, and then let me remove these right here, and I'm going to put my romaine lettuce right here. So you could actually just pick it up and eat it like that. But to make it a little bit more interesting, we're going to just dazzle on a little of the balsamic vinegar here. Balsamic vinegar has sort of a sweet taste to it. And then we're going to hit it with some Parmesan cheese and some breadcrumbs. Kind of mix the two together. All right. So it's something unexpected to grill lettuce. Okay, so I just want you to try that. So you have our eggplant, our romaine lettuce here. Okay. Now back to the cauliflower. Let's put that on the grill. All right, and then we're going to do the other side. And I want to turn it off over here because then I'm going to get some indirect heat over here once I get the sear on there. Okay. All right, so that's the cauliflower steak. And then what happens is that they kind of look like, they would look like this at the end of it. And then the sauce here, as I mentioned, has lime, but you can also add some lime zest. So it even intensifies the flavor more. So this is a zester, which comes in handy for doing Parmesan cheese, garlic, and of course the peel of any kind of citrus. So that's going to enhance it further. Then once they're cooked, you want to hit it with some cilantro, and again, more lime on that. So with cilantro and the lime gives it that brightness and cooling to the chili that's in here, all right? So here we've got our eggplant, the romaine, cauliflower, okay? And the corn. I realize that it's pretty potent coming off of that. All right. Okay, so as I mentioned, let's not forget other of the winter vegetables. Here are potatoes that are grilled. Okay, so during Thanksgiving we have mashed potatoes, we have sweet potato casserole, but how about changing it up and grilling the potatoes? So you want to cut them about 1/4 inch, and again, just a little bit of olive oil, and you're going to put them on the grill directly, or you feel safe, put them on, that they're going to fall through, put them on the grill tray. Okay, but you want to cut them about a 1/4 inch thick. Uh-oh, look at our eggplant. See, it's sweating. All right, so all the liquid's coming out of it, and it's going to be ready to grill. All right, so let me move some of this over. The spice is everywhere. Okay, so a 1/4 inch, about that much. All right, and then just brushing it with olive oil. You could do it with sweet potatoes too. You can make them wedges like I just did. Okay, when they get like this, I want to put them in the grill basket. I'm afraid they're going to fall through. About a 1/4 inch on the potatoes. You can make these are the sweet potato wedges. All right, so again, change it up when we get into the winter. Don't forget the vegetables that are out during that time. Okay, let's see. Our grilled cauliflower is turning over, getting a nice char on there. So I'm going to do the other side, then move it over to the indirect area. Okay, so vegetables don't need a lot of seasoning, just a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper, and that they're good to go. In fact, you don't want a lot of oil dripping onto the burners or the coal and having a lot of smoke coming up, because it's going to ruin the delicate flavors of the vegetables. Additionally, that smoke is carcinogenic. Those are cancer-causing agents. Okay, so typically what you want to do is you could marinate the vegetables before, but you got to worry about some of the vegetables getting soggy. So I think it's safer to grill the vegetables than add the marinade at the end. They're going to absorb more of the flavor when they're cooked. Okay, so other toppings that you could do is you could buy some pesto and brush it on the vegetables. That's already made. Or you could get something that's really different called Romanesco dip and brush the vegetables too. This is made of crushed almonds, tomato, and roasted red peppers. There's also something called the chimichurri, which is different than pesto because it has different herbs. You've got cilantro, parsley, oregano, maybe jalapeno. They use either lemon juice or vinegar, and it comes from South America, versus the pesto is typically made out of basil, pine nuts, garlic, and Parmesan cheese and olive oil. There's also sauces that are kind of Middle Eastern. They use tahini, which is like a sesame seed paste. But in this case, what we've done here is mixed it with olive oil and yogurt and some spice. And again, you could also drizzle this on the vegetables, okay? You could drizzle this yogurt, sesame paste on the grilled vegetables for a cooling aspect, all right? I think my cauliflower might need that cooling because it's pretty spicy, depending on how much I get on there. Okay, so I'm gonna move it over here now, all right? So turning that down. All right, so also let's not forget fruits. What about the fruits during the summertime? They can easily be grilled. Pineapple, peaches, even melons can be grilled. And some of these, like peaches, can be used in a savory dish. Like one of the ones I've used them for is getting the peaches grilled, tossing them in with some arugula, which is kind of peppery, adding some goat cheese and a balsamic honey reduction. Very good. So don't forget about the fruits in addition to the vegetables, okay? So our last slide I wanted to show you has resources for you to go to in case you need more information. Okay, so here are the resources for grilling. In addition to grilling information, there's also other recipes at these sites. And also, I think I really want to point out an important one is the Guide to Buying Fresh Fruits and Vegetables. It's difficult to decide if a vegetable or fruit is ripe. What are you looking for? Okay, so like with the eggplant, you want the eggplant to be sort of heavy, no defects on the outside, shiny and taut, and you want it to be kind of heavy, so that it's not that it's fresh. So I would go to that Guide to Buying Fresh Fruits and Vegetables first, and then look at these other websites to get some ideas on the grilling of fruits and vegetables. Thank you for attending today.
Thank you, Anna. We do have some questions. The first question is, I like to use wooden skewers when I make kebabs, but oftentimes they burn. What can I do to keep that from happening?
So the wooden skewers need to be soaked for about 30 minutes to reduce the risk of them burning. Even as you make one of those rafts that I was pointing out, some people use just toothpicks crosswise like this. Those also have to be soaked so they don't burn, and of course you can use metal skewers.
Great, thank you. And the next question we have is, what seasonings you might have mentioned this before, but again, what seasonings do you prefer when grilling vegetables?
Well, of course, the olive oil and then some kind of acid to brighten it up. So you're going to do any citrus, lime, lemon, even orange, and the zest also. In addition to some olive oil, again, a little salt, a little pepper, and of course, garlic. Okay, that's going to really bring out all the flavors.
Okay, and then the last question we have is, I usually don't like to use oil when I cook. Can you use veggie broth when you're grilling?
There's got to be some oil to prevent sticking on the grill. So either you're going to apply oil to the grill, or the vegetables need to be tossed in some oil. Now, if you don't want any fat, you could do the grilling basket. That's going to be more like a steaming, or using our homemade foil basket. So that way you're going to get steaming, not a sear though. But you don't need that much oil on the vegetables. And like I said, you don't really want a lot of oil because of that smoke coming up.
Okay, well, thank you, Anna. This concludes our program. And thank you again for this healthy and delicious presentation.
All right, enjoy the rest of your summer.
Thank you. And thank you to our viewers for tuning in. The recipes from this program can be found on our website under the News tab. And the entire broadcast of today's presentation will be available on our Facebook page and YouTube.